So, welcome, everybody. I know that you guys are probably really tired of just having me talk to you all the time. So, I figured I really wanted to bring in a wonderful woman who has become a colleague and a friend, and have her talk to you a bit as we have a discussion, because I know you guys are probably a little bit tired of hearing me talk to you about something I know everybody is always telling me, Martha, if I had just dropped another 10 pounds, then I would feel really confident and sexy to date. Oh, I just want to tone up my butt, or I want to tone up my lower belly. What if a guy sees me naked? I need to hit the gym first. And so I hear all of these women, all of you, yes, all of you watching right now who are incredible and confident and just you really have ownership of your life and you're total badasses. But when it comes to loving your body as a grown ass woman, loving your body after 40, 50, 60 beyond, midlife and beyond, it's almost like we completely lose our confidence. And I know that's how you guys feel because you guys are telling me that. Like, do you guys ever wish like your skin looked different or your clothes fit better? Or do you wish that you were more, confident or more comfortable like in pictures or being seen? So here's the thing. I'm going to tell you this, and my guest Juliana is going to share this with you more because she's the expert on this and I'm not. But we see like in midlife, I am in my early 40s now, and I'm certainly seeing this shit that a lot of things are changing, including our hormones, and they impact everything: our wrinkles, our belly fat, our cravings, difficulty losing weight, no matter how hard we're trying. But if you actually understand what's going on in your body and what is going on kind of in that whole system, there's so much more you can do to support it than just hating yourself and running past the mirror when you're naked. So I am actually having my good friend Juliana Leamen on right now, and she is from Naturally Joyous, her company, to talk to you about loving your body after 40 because y'all aren't listening to me. So I'm like, let me bring in an expert here. So Juliana, you guys, is amazing. Not only does she have this incredible Brazilian accent, and which is just I'm loving. She actually dedicates her work and her life to helping women like us at midlife get back in alignment with their bodies, to balance their hormones naturally and redefine what healthy aging can actually look like so we can all feel comfortable in our own skin again. And just as a kind of some of like her professional accreditations is Juliana Leamen from Naturally Joyous right here. She is a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. Okay, so that is a no bullshit thing. She is board certified, and we all know how board certifications go. She is board certified by the American Association of Natural Wellness Practitioners. So there's no, let me just throw some Ozempic and Fen at you all. So none of that. She is university trained with a master's degree in science. She's a registered Bach flower practitioner, and this woman is trained in human behavior by the Martini Institute. Maybe she's like been spending her whole life in school just to come and talk to us. So I'm very grateful for that. And besides these professional accreditations, Juliana is on a mission to provide a new model of care for weight loss for women during menopause transition, post-menopause. It's right around the corner for us ladies. We've got to be honest with ourselves, on a unique method that she actually calls weight release, which is moving away from this diet mindset and helping women find their confidence from within. Welcome, 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 Juliana. I am so happy to have you here with my audience.
Thank you so much, Martha. I'm very excited for this conversation.
Likewise, likewise. And so when you and I first started talking, I did not know at the time that you actually have this incredible book out as well. And so we're going to get into that a little bit more, but Juliana actually just brought out a book called Release: A Woman's Guide to Releasing Weight in Midlife Through Becoming Your Body's Best Friend. I know that, even in my own journey, kind of, was always kind of a bigger kid, always dealing with, weight issues, losing 40 pounds during COVID, but still having to battle that if I look at a cookie, I'm going to get like another inch on my ass. And so this book is like incredible to help us to actually have a healthier, proactive relationship with our bodies. So how does one go from, as we know, you're from Brazil. How does one go from, a gal in Brazil where, at least it's my idea, everybody loves their bodies and feels really good and everyone's always looking good, to becoming this like incredible expert that is working to empower women at midlife, actually kind of like taking ownership of their bodies? Would you care to share some of that background with my audience?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because I was raised in a very holistic, open-minded family. My grandparents, to their 80s, practice holistic modalities. So a lot of that initial love for doing things more naturally came from my grandparents,
Nice.
essentially. And I think like mentioning my Brazilian upbringing is kind of relevant here
Yeah.
because I think that's part of that real driving force that when I came here from Brazil, I had a very different standards of beauty, very
Hmm.
different. The
Yeah.
things that were beautiful there are not beautiful in Canada, where I
Hmm.
live for the last 19 years.
Right.
I think that was already a little bit of a interesting new perspective that I had. And then for the last 15 plus years, I've had a series of health issues and
Hmm.
spinal surgery, thyroid issues,
Yeah.
and autoimmune issues. And I was put on a lot of medications that actually, contributed to a very fast weight gain sort of like
Mm,
my
hmm.
life.
Hmm.
So I'm this Brazilian girl now that my beauty standards are changing,
Right.
the body that I don't recognize, and because of my history of chronic pain, that a
Yeah.
lot of times was in complete fight with my active mind wanting to go conquer the world. So
Yeah.
I think a combination of factors that really, you know, kept putting me on this path of seeking more and more understanding of what was going
Yeah.
on, combined with this, I can live life like this way anymore. I
Yeah.
need to change. I want to change, sort of drive from a personal side as well. So I think that's
Absolutely.
what brought us here today.
Absolutely. No, that's wonderful. And it is interesting how when we kind of have this, oh, this one thing I knew, and now it's completely different. Now what? When we all experience that, whether it's in dating or whether that's in our bodies or whether that's in when anything else kind of happens in our life, that's kind of a, well, this isn't working. So now it's time to change that. And, kind of speaking of change, when we're talking about when we're getting older in our 40s and beyond, what is exactly changing, Juliana, in a woman's body at midlife? And why is this important to know as we learn to love our bodies at this age?
Yeah, I would say there's like I like to group it in three main buckets. So our
Okay.
circumstances are changing, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
time is no longer truly on our side, and decisions feel more
Yeah.
permanent. In the women that I know you work with, like if you're
Yeah.
looking for love, all these things. So there's that I would say difficult relationship with time and aging
Yeah.
parents, stressors of
Yeah.
midlife hormonally, which is driving a lot of the symptoms of the whole menopause transition for a lot of women. It's almost like you're now given a new user manual for your
Yeah.
body, but nobody teaches you what's changing, right? So there's a lot
Yeah.
of hormones that are shifting and different, parts of your body now are
Mhm.
taking over. I like to say it's almost like the rush of Christmas Eve shopping, but the stores is understaffed, right? Like hormonally
Oh
speaking.
my
So
God.
there's
Yeah, it's a
more
great
demand,
visualization. Yeah.
right? But there's less supply of
Yeah.
your estrogen, progesterone, and things like that. But there's also this huge emotional shift. And I think that is really a big part of even why women feel that they're fed up with their,
Yeah.
circumstances, they want to do something about it. I think it's because we start to feel, okay, I put everybody else first for most of my life because
Yeah.
that's what most women are taught.
Yeah.
And there's this inner awakening that's like, okay, now it's time for me. Your hormones are helping you, but everything is helping you to pay attention. So I'd say it's a combination of those three main pockets that leads a lot of women to feel ready for seeking something that actually can change how they feel when they look in the mirror, how they feel in their
Yeah.
skin.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that analogy of your hormones are literally like Black Friday or Christmas Eve that I don't have everything. Yeah, no, that's a great visualization. I know it's helpful. It's probably going to be helpful for so many people. So we hear a lot of times, and I see this when women are trying to date again. Maybe they've taken a break, maybe, they've gone through a divorce or a breakup and they're ready to put themselves out there. And they get
Yeah.
this really unhelpful advice that's just be confident, just love your body. And it's like a no BS coach for women who want to find love again. I hate that. It's like nails on a chalkboard. And I know you and I kind of a like a shared sensibility with that whole, be confident. And it's not really helpful. So you, much like me, Juliana, you have this unique take on confidence that I'd love to have you share with my audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I also get very annoyed with those like
I know.
Instagram posts that actually mean nothing, right? Because it's like, yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
you
Because
know,
it's like by like 19-year-olds that have like the metabolism of like a hummingbird
yeah,
or like a monkey on crack or something. It's just love your body. And yeah. So as
sure,
grown-ass
right?
women, like your audience and naturally joyous, like mine here with the Empowered Dating Group, we see confidence differently. I would love for you to kind of share that with us.
Yeah. So there's two pieces of the puzzle for me for confidence. And I would even, we can link later in this episode.
Yep.
I interviewed you on my podcast, right, called Confidence from Within, which is
Yeah.
very much dedicated to this specific topic. And specifically, the way I look at it is confidence is when we overlap our internal, truly authentic
Mhm.
essence, value system with whatever reference points that we have. So
Yeah.
I'll give an example of that. Say that I love to speak and it's something that comes easy for me.
Yeah.
If I'm speaking within my zone of genius, my
Mhm.
congruent, the things that I own in my body and I just know out of my pores, right?
Yeah.
But if you put me to speak about, say, real estate investing, same
Yeah.
skill speaking, but my confidence level will plunge unless the point of reference that I'm measuring my confidence with is lower. So if I speak to kindergartens, I can probably do that. But if I'm speaking to realtors, most definitely not, right?
Mhm.
I'd say
Yeah.
confidence is so relative because it depends on where you're putting you're here. Are
Yeah.
you putting the measure above or below you, right? Your perception of.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're the most confident when we're the most authentic in terms of our actions matching who we actually are. And I
Yeah.
think the best way to be confident is to actually just be yourself because
Yeah.
nobody can be you better than you can, right? So that is kind of my
Absolutely.
summary of how I visualize
I love
confidence.
that because it's much like kind of your background. It's so holistic. It's we're not just doing this kind of shallow, get out there and just love your body. It's like, well, no, let's have this kind of deeper appreciation for what our
Yeah.
zone of genius is, and let's kind of build on that and play on that. I think we as women, when we are kind of in midlife and beyond, and I know even like my clients, they hate the word midlife, but we as
Mhm.
grown ass women understanding we have these zones of genius not only kind of within our work but even within our bodies. Like our bodies are all these incredible powerhouses that society and conditioning have told us to kind of ignore and hate. And so it kind of brings me to my our next topic of conversation that I'd love to kind of hear your take on is something I know you say a lot is that your body's got your back.
Yeah.
And I love that because it seems a little like beautifully counterintuitive. But what do you mean by that? Like your body's got your back.
Absolutely. And the one thing I'll just quickly go back, if that's okay, on the
Of course.
previous topic, and I'll
Yeah.
link to this. That what you said is exactly, I think, what the main problem is. Like we've been taught so many lies, right? And
Yeah.
we just believe them to be true. Like almost like those arbitrary rules that this is what beauty looks like, this is what not. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I love to study is like how like things have evolved over the years. So for example,
Yeah.
fat, specifically excess fat,
Yeah.
in the late 1800s was seen as a sign of wealth and
Hmm.
beauty
Yes.
because you had to be wealthy to actually be able to even gain weight,
And like
right?
not have to work or burn. Yeah, exactly.
Which is
Exactly.
crazy. So women use it to pad their dresses with extra stuff just to look more beautiful.
Yeah.
And nowadays, like with the Kardashian, I would say era, that
Hmm.
as long as fat is on the right places, that's good. But if it's on the midsection, that's bad. So there's
Yeah.
all these rules, right, that we're given.
Yeah.
And it impacts our confidence because then we believe that something is wrong, broken, missing in ourselves.
Yeah.
And which is absolutely untrue,
Yeah.
right? And the way that and we can talk about like how to shift to that if you want, but the way
Yeah.
that I do believe that our body has gotten our backs, and this is something I have complete conviction on, if you actually knew the millions of reactions and
Yeah.
biochemically what is going on as we're having this conversation, not even thinking about it, you would be amazed. Like you would never be able to look at your body again. I think once you study biochemistry and nutrition,
Yeah.
you go, oh my gosh, like we're all magnificent, right? And I believe from that side, all the healing and all the nothing is actually broken in your body. Like
Yeah.
everything you need is actually within you. I
Mm.
recently interviewed the founder of one of the big DNA companies in Canada on my
Hmm.
podcast, and he said that what we're dealing with is good genes with bad habits. So even from a
Oh,
genetic standpoint, we're
yeah.
not broken, right? And I keep telling women this, there's
Hmm.
nothing actually wrong with you. But we are not designed to live in the circumstances of stress and pollution and chemical
Yeah.
food we're exposed to, right? So from the physical sense, your body got your back because it has everything it needs inside.
Mm.
But on
Mm.
the emotional sense, I
Yeah.
also believe that's true. And through this ease or lack of ease and
Yeah.
dysfunction of
Yeah.
the body, I believe that the body, for example, myself with chronic pain, is doing everything it can to bring you back to your most authentic self.
Hmm.
Because for me, pain is a result of when I'm not paying attention, when I'm
Yeah.
acting out of duty, not out of inspiration. But once I'm in fulfillment and, doing what is most inspiring to me,
Yeah.
I have great energy, great health, right? So I do
Mhm.
believe that your body's always working in your best interest. We just
Yeah.
are not always able to understand that's what's going on.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so just kind of a, I guess a quick kind of like follow-up question to that then is if there's somebody that, they've been working, they work from home, right? And they're just like not feeling great. What
Mhm.
would be kind of one of like the easiest bit of information that if somebody, somebody's watching this right now saying, okay, oh, my back is killing me. I'm hunched over watching these two ladies on Zoom. What would be like the first thing, as a professional in this line of work, what would be the first kind of easiest bit of advice that you would invite, somebody to start implementing?
Yeah. So this may be a little unorthodox, I guess, maybe not the most common answer that you see
That's
on there.
okay. That's why we're here. Yeah.
But what I always look first, and no matter what it is how is the dysfunction, the pain, the discomfort, or even if you're feeling blue or whatever it is,
Yeah.
actually benefiting you? Because nothing
Mm.
in our lives and nothing in your body happens without motive. And
Yeah.
motive is driven by this inner authentic blueprints that we all
Yeah.
have, what I call your inner priorities. So even when we talked before recording, why do we eat the cookie instead of the broccoli?
Hmm.
Why do I feel this way instead of this way? All those things are in a way fulfilling what is most important to you.
Mm.
I look, what are the benefits of you feeling, this pain? Is it your body telling you, you know what, it's time to rest? Or you know what, it's
Mm.
time to go do
Hmm.
something that's actually inspiring to you. So I can sit on this chair if I'm doing something I love for 10 hours and not
Hmm.
have anything. Or sit here to do my taxes and in 10 minutes,
Yeah.
my neck is sore, right? Like, so
Exactly.
it's very much asking what are the benefits of the thing?
Hmm.
What is it actually getting you out of so you can do something that you actually love and value. That's where I would start.
Yeah. No, that's, when I hear that, if I can reflect that, I see that then as what is this? What is this pain or what is this sensation trying to teach me? What is this sensation saying to me? And yeah, that's almost as simple as, oh, my back hurts. That's not, oh, my back is weak. That's not my core is too weak or anything like that. It's like maybe that is what your body is saying is go and enjoy the nature. Go and have a nice stretch. Go and get a coffee or something I deal with a lot. And I don't know if you do as well, kind of working remotely is I get a lot of eye strain. And it
Mhm.
can be like instead of, oh, my eyes are weak or oh, this screen's so terrible, it's well, no, maybe this is your body's way of saying, go outside and take a walk or go and, just go and, look at the landscape or go and play with your dog or something along the lines of that. I love that because it's a very how you teach it, it's just this very compassionate, but very kind of inquisitive way for us to look at our bodies instead of just automatically going to the judgment,
Yeah.
automatically going. And when we're doing that, it's like we're bravely stepping away this conditioning, this Western conditioning, especially that women have of their bodies. So
Yeah.
I love that. And so I think when we kind of look at it that way, something that I know that you've talked a little bit about, but I'd love for us to dive in, is you talk a lot about kind of inner motivation and kind of letting go of the scale. I've been trying to let go of this goddamn scale for years, and that's just not happening. So, how can someone actually activate their inner motivation? What does that look like? And more importantly, what could that even feel like? I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that.
I should give you a summary version because that topic I can talk for like hours only on
Our,
that.
fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah.
So the way that I wanted to help visualize is that our minds are wired for survival, period.
Yeah.
So it is awesome at going to the worst case scenario most of the time, right? Because you'd rather be wrong that there's a tiger behind the bush than not think it's a tiger and then be eaten
Hmm.
by the tiger. So it's
Hmm.
better to be negative, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, right?
Survival. Hmm.
But then we apply that to ourselves. So look in the mirror and then, or say somebody takes a photo. We all have that experience.
Yeah.
Then we all go there, Zoom to look at all the parts we don't love to see how did it turn out, right? No,
Yeah.
delete, right? Take
Guilty as
400
charged. Yeah.
more
That's me.
to
Yeah.
get an approved done. I think we've all done that. And the way that I like to look at it is that your mind is, I call mine like this purple minion that goes from super cute to
Mhm.
crazy hair, screaming, totally angry. And it takes like the jello shots, the sugar
Mhm.
to calm it down, right? So that's literally my mind. but I am not my mind. My mind is the one that protects, that
Mm.
judges, that does all the things.
Mhm.
Who I am is the perfect essence, that nothing is wrong, nothing is broken. That's step one,
Mm.
right? The second layer to this, as it ties into motivation, is that there's only two types of choices we can make, no matter what it is.
Mhm.
And the way I like to call it, the first type is what I call your inner priority choices. So I
Mm.
imagine like a little magnet attracting all the things you love.
Mhm.
The second is your outer priority choices.
Okay.
So it's almost like climbing this mountain, right?
Mhm.
So when we talk about motivation, we need to clarify the two, because if you're inner motivated towards something, the magnet one, you're
Mhm.
going to use words, for example, if you love to travel. Oh, I
Mhm.
love to get to, that you actually get to travel. You don't say,
Yeah.
I have to go to Europe, right? Unless you
Right.
want to travel, but if you
Right.
like to. Whereas the other one, the climbing the mountain one,
Mhm.
that's when we use the have to, should, need
Yeah.
to, the duty words, right?
Yeah.
So activating your inner motivator is making choices that are like the magnet
Mhm.
choices, not to climb the mountain, in simple terms.
Right.
But when it comes to a lot of times, say all the strategies of weight loss, just put it that way,
Yeah.
say 99 to 100% of them are going to be climbing the mountain.
Yeah.
Like most people, we not want to come home tired and have
Right.
to cook for healthy foods, cook a separate
Mhm.
meal. There's way too many things to do to
Mhm.
technically achieve the goal in the traditional sense, right?
Sure.
So the reason why we don't have inner motivation is because we actually our instinct, like our authentic blueprint, does not want to spend our days losing weight. It's not what we want to do. So
Mm.
it's no
Yeah.
wonder that, it takes a lot of external motivation and accountability to keep climbing the mountain, right?
Right.
It's just like I reframe that if you're not activate your inner
Mhm.
motivator, the solution is starting to transfer some of the tasks from the mountain into the magnet. And there's process and things we can talk
Mm.
about. But that's what I mean by that is making a task that for now takes a lot of energy to accomplish because your mind doesn't see how it's actually benefiting you. For
Right.
example, eating the broccoli, and actually getting it to be the same as eating the cookie, which is something you may just want to do without anybody telling you to. You have to, you just get to eat the cookie. Does that make sense? Hopefully.
Absolutely. No, I love this. And it when, when you're sharing kind of that idea, which I love because it's kind of like thinking about, oh, if I have to can only have a half a cup of, I don't know, something I really okay. I'm making like my own, latte, right? And only doing when my little kind of like my little European little foam kind of thing, only putting 1 tablespoon of half and half when I want to put like the whole carton of half and half in it. And so just, that's kind of like that's my thought process. But to me though, it kind of sounds like there's that kind of whole concept. I think there's Simon Sinek. He, I think he talks about in business, find your why.
Yeah.
And kind of that finding your why is definitely that internal motivation, kind of
Yeah.
oh, if I want to get healthier, your doctor can say, oh, you need to lose weight, or, you're pre-diabetic, or, all of these things, your cholesterol, you need to lose weight, you need to lose weight. But it's almost kind of like we as women deal with like feeling shame and guilt with that conditioning all our life. And so it's kind of
Yeah.
like we can't get shamed and we can't get guilted into feeling confident. And, if you need to, shed weight or anything like that, you can't be guilted into that. Sure, you might be able to for maybe temporarily, but it's not going to stick. And so when I hear you talk about kind of internal motivators, it's finding what is it reason that you want to? Is it because you want to be able to get up with no aches and pains? Is it because that you want to walk 20,000 steps a day going to Rome? What is that? Is it because, hey, we're all kind of visual creatures. Is it because you want to look really good in a cute dress that you have that's in your closet that you've never worn? And so I
Yeah.
think kind of that idea of finding your internal motivators is super important. So I guess kind of a little bit of a follow-up question on that then is what do you feel as a professional working with women in Naturally Joyous to kind of really understand and really appreciate their body at midlife? What do you feel is like the biggest barrier for the most common barrier for women to go to that magnet and not just kind of get to the mountain and be, the mountain just kind of overwhelming them? What are some of the biggest barriers or the most common objections that you hear with women that you work with in order to reconnect with that magnet, so to speak?
Absolutely. And everything you just said is exactly what chapter one in the book is all about.
Great.
100%. like finding your why, but I have a very specific process that I outline in the book. I have a bonus training on finding your activating your inner motivator. It's all literally on chapter one,
Wonderful. Yeah.
which is really a starting point, right? I would say the biggest barrier, and this is looking back like in at least the last 12 years of
Yeah.
talking to women in every country. There's not a one continent that this is
I
not
believe
applied.
it. I believe it. Yeah.
It's very similar, even though culturally we're all very
Sure.
different. But I would say is the tug war between what we actually desire versus the duties that have been imposed on women
Hmm.
throughout generations.
Yeah.
In a sense of, we spend the whole day, not the whole day, but most of the day of
Yeah.
our days having to do things we don't want to do, that we should do, that we need to do, and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
So it's all those authority voices that give us this like unwritten rules, and this is how it should be, how it shouldn't be. And then we don't even know what we want. Like,
Yeah.
when I ask them, why do you want to lose weight? I get the more superficial answers. Oh, to be healthy. But if that was true, they would already been inner motivated.
Exactly.
That was the truth, we would not
Hmm.
be here today. So I know that's the superficial truth.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we don't even ask ourselves, what do I actually
Yeah.
want? It's crazy,
Hmm.
but I've been contemplating this question for years, and every
Yeah.
couple of years a new layer comes in and go, oh my gosh, like it's almost like the journey, like what weight release is all about. And in
Hmm.
a sense, how I like to reframe the whole weight loss.
Yeah.
None of us, and why I released the scale,
Yeah.
none of us is actually looking after a number. None of us want a specific
Hmm.
weight number, even though we think we
Right.
do. What we want is a feeling,
Hmm. Hmm.
feeling that we believe is coming when we hit the number,
Hmm.
right? That's the
Yeah.
feeling. And the feeling that we actually want is to feel loved, period.
Hmm.
So none of us want to lose weight. We want to feel loved. So I ask in chapter one, if you knew that your weight or the number on the scale did not impact how people loved you, accepted you, and judged you, would you still care to lose weight? And most people tell me that that question shocks them because they go,
Hmm.
probably not.
Right.
Like, sure, I want to be healthy to live long years, but for most women, that is not enough of a motivating pain, if that makes sense. Like, it's
Absolutely.
a
Absolutely.
lot deeper, and it's always rooted in this sense of, feeling loved, not feeling judged, of
Hmm.
status, of, just belonging, inspiring actors. It's a lot deeper feeling what we're actually after, that we think we will get there when the weight is lower than, right? So it's breaking some of those duties and those authority voices and all these things that we were
Yeah.
taught to be true that are untrue.
Yeah.
So that once we start breaking some of those paradigms, we can say, what do you actually want? If nothing was impossible, what do you want? Right. And
Yeah.
really starting to get the right pieces of the puzzle together. So then we have a real goal to go after, right?
Yeah. Oh, I
As a
love. Oh, I've got like chills on my legs up and down. No, that's beautiful. And so, when we talk about, the weight release and it being different than the actual weight loss, then is that what we're talking about? And that what you see as weight release is that feeling of love versus, weight loss, which is just kind of this imposed number that we think is going to make us happy, but it probably won't.
yeah. And the way I look at it too, like weight loss is trying to get rid of parts of yourself. So how can you love yourself?
Mm,
You're trying to get rid of half of yourself, right?
yeah.
And those authority voices I'm talking about could also be a younger version of you. And I think it is for a lot of
Mhm.
women,
Oh yeah.
my body before motherhood, my body, my 20s, or whatever that is for
Yeah.
all of us. Like I talk about this photo in my book that I have that is kind of like almost like this gold standard of what my body looked like
Hmm.
before surgeries and crazy everything that I
Yeah.
went through. So unrealistic, right? To expect it to be today's reality, but anyways, but a little part of us to kind of, wants that. Um, but weight release is, instead of getting rid of parts of yourself, is
Yeah.
actually loving the whole self,
Hmm.
even if you want to release excess, whatever. So it's almost like accept yourself so that it can change, as opposed to doing it from a place of lack. It's a lot more from a place of fulfillment, inspire joy. Like it's just such a beautiful vibe because you're just doing it just because you freaking want to, and you can have whatever your heart's desires, and that's good enough. Like you don't need like to justify the wanting, right? So it's very
Yeah.
much putting you in the center of it, and
Hmm.
then like looking at your genetics, look at your hormones, sure, all that good stuff too,
Yeah.
but not that place of duty. Like it's not I have to lose weight, it's I get to release weight. There's just like a shift.
I love that. Yeah, no, and just to like kind of share, my own personal story is, years and years and years ago in another lifetime, I was actually in the US Army. And I remember after basic training, I was just cut. I was just, shredded. Okay, I'd shattered my foot during like a ruck march, but I remember hopping on the scale and being 183. Now, I am 5'10". My people are from the Netherlands and, Irish potato farmers. So it's like hardy pioneer stock. And so for me, that was always, and then, and so that was for years, I was trying to chase that illicit weight of like 183. And, I'd had a spinal injury in the army. I was dealing with all of these things. And so, the 15 years after, my being in the army, still trying to chase that, never getting to it. I'd be 190. At one point, I think my heaviest, I was almost like at 250. And then so once I was able to kind of really kind of get healthy again and work with a trainer, I did get back to that 183, but it didn't change anything.
Mm,
And it was really causing me then to be like, well, it wasn't necessarily the number because I was still having trauma. I was still having anxiety. I was still having, trying to fight this conditioning and, all of these things. And it wasn't until like I started to kind of like, well, why was that number important? And that number was important is because it was, for me, I had felt like a lot of kind of a little bit of like PTSD and anxiety from my time serving as a female in the army and some of the stuff that went on, there. And for me, that number to actually signified, oh, that was this number of innocence before, all the bullshit that happened. And so that is where the work started. The work,
wow.
the number never meant anything. The
Mhm.
number was never, and that number, trying to be kind with myself, that number was, the way that they work you in basic training caused my foot to shatter. It actually caused a spinal injury. And so it is definitely, and I'm definitely like not where I want to be yet, but then kind of understanding what does that picture actually even mean when we see us when we were in high school, on the cheerleading squad or we ran
Yeah.
track or something. What does that even mean? And it is almost like you would said, oh, that's a younger version of ourselves. Is that just a part of us that we need to mourn or we need to grieve or that we need to say, you know what? Thank you so much. I can take it from here. And so it's just kind of this whole idea that you have in your book was just kind of that concept of kind of like release and kind of almost like a return to our authentic selves. Like I love that, and I can't wait to talk to you a little bit more about the book. I do have one more question though. We talk about weight, but then we also hear this kind of on Instagram that, fat burning, fat loss, fat, fat, fat. And so it's just like, well, which one is it? Who knows? And so I know we talk about, and you say a lot, kind of like that, how body fat is actually our friend. I'm like,
Yeah.
somebody needs to tell my bicycle shorts that. But you say it's performing a job though, that the body fat is our friend because it is performing a job besides just kind of like making it hard to like put on some leather pants or whatever. But what do you mean by that? I think that's definitely something
Wow.
everybody in my audience wants to learn a little bit more about. How's it working for us?
Yeah, I would say that's probably one of my favorite topics in the whole world. So I'm going to start with saying that adipose tissue or your fat tissue is an organ in your body,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So conceptually, if you think about it, nobody goes around saying, "Oh, my liver is too big. I wish my liver is smaller." And some of us have pretty big livers. Not gonna
I,
count. Nobody does that, right? Because
no,
nobody
it's like no.
taught us to hate our
I
liver.
love that idea. Those stupid lungs are so heavy. They need a
And they're
trim. Like, yeah,
so big. Look at this heart. Like nobody thinks
I
that way.
love that. Yeah,
But we developed is almost like this dissociated aspect that body fat is not an organ in the body. But if you
yeah,
think about it, that it is it's not just like it says calories. And I think that's what people forget. Like body
yeah.
fat produces hormones. You cannot have pregnancy or menstruation without it. You
Hmm.
need it in your brain for thinking, for nerve impulses.
Yeah.
So in a way, like body fat is like the foundation of a lot of hormones, including the ones that we get depleted in menopause, your stress hormone, cortisol.
Yeah.
It is essential for survival. So your body's going to be very clever at preserving it. That is just
Okay.
like the science standpoint, right? So it's kind of like you actually need it the concern is when it goes above, let's just say, your own body stretch points. Let's just say now we're talking about excess body fat,
Yeah.
right? So the first part of the answer to that question is physiologically, it's doing many jobs for you. It's not just
Yeah.
excess in there. But on an emotional level, when we're talking about
Hmm.
excess and our
Yeah.
perceptions of it, excess body fat is actually doing a job as well in that sense. So, for example, when you're describing your specific experience at that
Hmm.
number and what it felt with 183,
Yeah.
versus higher than that, for some of us, it's protection. It's protection from previous history of trauma, of
Yeah.
getting, not very positive male attention
Yeah.
or traumatic situations. For other people, it is a consequence of having a lot of kids. Like
Yeah.
there's all these different actionable reasons why it is there because your
Yeah.
body does not make mistakes. And I think that once we understand that it's actually helping you, even if it has gone a little above, for some
Yeah.
women, that is actually how they're able to keep pushing their crazy, high performing lifestyle. It's
True.
a consequence of that because of the how cortisol is produced and how our
Yeah.
body accumulates, right? As we age, there's an aspect of fat that's going to take the role of converting some hormones like
Yeah.
estrogen,
Hmm.
depleted with menopause. So for some women, as they lose weight, it may actually aggravate temporarily menopausal symptoms. So there's
Mm.
so
Hmm.
many valuable reasons why fat is there, right?
Yeah.
But I think once we start to making friends with it, even if it's you want to release excess, but
Hmm.
accept, you look at the times and you say, you know what? Like you are an organ in my body. I actually accept you. You don't have to say I love my thigh fat if it's not true, because lying to
Right.
yourself is not valuable. But just looking at it with a different appreciation, that's actually doing a lot more than you originally thought.
Yeah.
And the final piece of this that I tell women to do, which is kind of big, similar to something you asked me early on, I like to ask women, what is actually the benefits you're currently getting from feeling you're overweight? And listen to
Mm.
them from an emotional side, from a mental health side,
Yeah.
because some of us, use food as a coping mechanism. So,
Yeah.
excess weight is a consequence of helping us with emotional stability. People don't like to talk about these
Mm.
things, but I
Sure.
think it's
Sure.
important. How is it benefiting you financially, socially, career-wise? And at first, that mind is going to go blank. Oh, there's no benefits, but
Yeah.
there are. Otherwise, you wouldn't do
Mm.
it, right? So
Yeah.
it's very much asking what are the benefits of that? And just to balance your mind, what are some of the drawbacks if you were a much smaller person?
Yeah.
Not in the past, not in the future, but today. And really start looking at the benefits and drawbacks of weight gain and weight loss, which is counter to what our minds wants to do. So
Sure.
you can start to neutralize your perception of your body and all the things we think is wrong about it. Doing a little bit of that deep inner work first
Yeah.
makes it much, and that's a lot of the stuff I talk about in the book,
Yeah.
makes for a much easier transition into even choosing what strategy you want to follow. So you can actually
R-
stick with it.
Right. And
Then you're
connecting
not,
with that internal magnet, if you're able to
yeah.
kind of, and yeah. No, that's amazing. And I know that there's this incredible book that you just released called
Mhm.
Release. And so you
Yes.
guys, Juliana Leamen, she has an incredible book out. It's called Release, A Woman's Guide to Releasing Weight in Midlife Through Becoming Your Body's Best Friend. So I'd love it if you could share with my audience a little bit about this book and who the book is for.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. So the book is very much about I would say the sequence of events to sort of get to what we've been talking about all
Yeah.
along, which is really to, starting point of uncovering why do you not even lose weight. I wrote this book for women to read before their next diet. So even if you are in the midst of trying something,
Yeah.
no matter what the strategy is, like I teach a specific method, but regardless of that, the book is designed for any woman over 40 that is unhappy with their body in some way,
Hmm.
because we're going to look at the real reason why. What are you actually after in terms of wanting to release the weight,
Yeah.
as well as how to start shifting your perspective on body fat, on confidence, and really getting to the end of the book towards how can you actually implement some of those things from an emotional mindset standpoint. So whatever strategy you choose, your chance of success, long-term success, are much greater because you're coming in with a lot more awareness and understanding of your emotions,
Yeah.
kind of like putting those puzzle pieces in a very practical way. That's
Like a
what it,
foundation before you just go mindlessly try to do something that might not work for you. That is
yeah.
no, I love that. What a wonderful foundation. It's like we like to call it like slow your roll, find out your why. What are those magnetic internal motivators that you spoke about earlier? And once you actually have like a really good foundation of that, that is going to up your chances of becoming more successful, whatever your health journey, looks like for you and whatever your goals are. And so Juliana actually has a special gift for you guys, and we're going to have this link right below in the notes. But she is actually, we are running a little bit of a contest that if you, we're going to give you this link that if you want to join her on her website, and it's a newsletter, and if you want to follow her, we have a chance for you to win a signed copy of her book called Release. And this contest is actually exclusive. Juliana's just arranged this just for us, just for this group. It is a contest that is exclusive to the Empowered Dating for Women community, which is all of you guys here. And so we're going to actually have that link if you want to enter for your chance to win a signed copy of this book. We're going to have that link. I know that I'm going to be reading this. I hope that you guys all too, to really kind of take back ownership if getting confident and feeling good about your body is something that is on your list and I think it definitely should be. I honestly think it should be before you even venture out dating again. So we've got the book. Where else can my audience find you if they want to learn more about your work with Naturally Joyous, or even would possibly even want to work with you at midlife reclaiming their health? Where can these beautiful ladies find you?
So for the contest, if you go to naturallyjoyous.ca/love, once you register for the contest, what you get in the thank you message, you will get the free introduction of the book included. And I have it in audiobook format as well as paperback or ebook. So the free book introduction, just to kind of get you, into feeling it a little bit, is on audio format. And then, of course, whoever wins the contest, we will let them know, but that is the link to actually enter the contest. And in terms of knowing what's up in my world, the best place to go is naturallyjoyous.ca/starthere. And in there, I have all my resources, my podcasts, and some other, anywhere from talking about belly fat to motivation, like all the resources I have available are in that one page. Also, a link to apply to speak with me or my team if you wanted to explore, working together. It's all in that one page. So to make it organized.
Beautiful. You're a far more organized woman than I am. And we're definitely going to have all of those links in the notes, in the channels. So you won't be missing that. So definitely enter that contest, as well as, check out, Juliana's world to see if you don't enter that contest, you should still buy this book anyway, because it is absolutely incredible. So Juliana, thank you so much. This has been such a gift for my audience, and really kind of this invitation to know that you guys owe the greatest love story that you're ever going to have is the love story with yourself. And that starts with the relationship to your body, especially not as a 19-year-old, whatever, with a metabolism of a hummingbird. But right now, as a grown-ass woman, your body's changing, and that's okay, because guess what? That means it's evolving and you're evolving, and that means that we are still alive and breathing. And that's a beautiful love story that you should be having before you even date again. So I want to thank you so much for being my first kind of my first guest, and really appreciate that. And make sure to check out Juliana and her world at naturallyjoyous.ca as soon as you can. All right.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Hey guys, it's your girl Martha Bodyfelt again, and I want to thank you so much for watching that training. And if you like what you saw, I would invite you to actually hit that link and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'd also invite you to sign up for our newsletter over here at marthabodyfelt.com. And thirdly, if you want to get great daily free training and no BS advice, definitely head over to the free Facebook group called Empower Dating for Women, where you can meet other incredible women just like you as you guys learn the best ways as grown-ass women to meet and experience the love that you desire. I'll see you there. Bye.